Good evening, family, friends, cadets. It's good to see you guys here. You made it. So I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time tonight. I was told sit, right? Okay, I might have 8. So because I'm going to touch on some really important points for you gentlemen, you can go to KeliChevalier.com and register, and I will send you all these notes in detail. That's how important this stuff is, okay? All right. So I was public affairs when I was in the military. So over about 20 years, I spent my time interviewing people that I thought were great leaders. Generals, sergeant majors, didn't really matter what the rank was. But if they were generals, then I felt like they must have been doing something right. So what I did was compile a list of all these things that these superior leaders had in common. And tonight, I'm going to give you the top 6 from that list. So after observing and interviewing about, 100 or so Army leaders over the years, this is what they all had in common. The first one, always be your own image consultant and always be your own PR agent. PR is public relations. So I worked for a general, one in particular. He was former pro athlete, played professional football, really tall, really big, really commanding in his presence. His problem was people were always afraid of him. So they always said, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, without even thinking through the mission or the objective. They were terrified, basically. And he wanted to change that. So when I came on board, we did a couple of things. Number 1, every single time he signed any document or letter or note to anyone, he signed it, your humble servant. That was his brand. He started branding himself as a servant, someone that you could come to and he would help you get whatever it was that you needed. Secondly, instead of talking to someone arm's distance or more away, he'd bring them in very close and he'd almost whisper. He wanted them in his personal space. He wanted them to know that they were safe there, that he was listening. These 2 things helped him get his 3rd star. Protect your brand at all costs. So his was to be a humble servant. That meant that from start to finish of his career, that's what he was working on, and he wouldn't do anything to compromise that. Secondly, always have a side hustle. Do you have a side hustle? Let me tell you, if you're in school right now, side hustle means you got a side job, washing dishes or helping out at the student center. That's your side hustle. Keep a side hustle in the military. What's a side hustle? For me, I knew from the very start that I wanted to be in public affairs. But you can't go directly into public affairs. So I started working on the newspaper. I would go in and volunteer my time. Everyone knew that I was the person to go to if they wanted their story in the paper, in the Army paper, in the Army Times, in the Post paper, whatever it was. They knew I was going to get their story published. That was my side hustle, and it took me very far because people thought that that was a great idea, that they got their faces or whatever positive things they were doing, they got it in the paper and their families could read about it. So find out what your side hustle is, even if it's football or golf. Learn it, love it, and then share it. Always have a clearly defined outcome. Clearly defined outcome. That just means you know exactly where it is you're going. If you don't have one, it's like driving around town with no GPS. You have no clue how to get there. You might eventually get there, but it's going to take you a lot longer to get there. If you have a clearly defined outcome, you have a plan. You know exactly where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and how you're going to get there, and you're not going to let anything get in your way. So decide now if your clearly defined outcome is to be a general one day, or maybe it's just to, make it a few years, pay off college, whatever it is. Decide what that is now, and then determine how you're going to get there. Now we get to the nevers, the never do's. Never forget this is a competition. You're not going to get anything for second place. You're not going to get a ribbon for participation. It is always a competition. Even when you're sending an email, people are judging you. They're judging your leadership. They're judging everything about you. Just by simply reading your email, how you address people. It's a competition. Some people might call it brown nosing. I call it working a little extra. If your commander or whoever it is that is in charge of you asks you for something, you're not quite sure what the answer is, research it, learn it, know it, and then go right back to that person and let them know that you know. Keep that in mind as you go on through your career. Also, never forget that you live in a 360-degree environment. That means there's people above you, below you, and on all sides of you. All of these people are what's going to make you special in this military. I also worked with another officer who knew every single one of his soldiers' names, their family members' names, their children's names, and every single time you saw them, he addressed them by their name. Not just the name that was right here on their chest, but first names as well. This goes very, very, very far. Know that everyone around you, even the person who's vacuuming the floors at the end of the day, those people can help you. Those people can help you get to where you're trying to go, your clearly defined outcome. And then finally, never let personalities make you quit. If you know that you want to do something at the end of this career, don't let that boss who's getting on your very last nerve stop you from getting there. The good thing about being in the military, every 1 to 3 years, you're going to get a new boss. Or you're going to get the next rank. Or you're going to get moved to the next duty station. So don't worry about it. Those people cannot make or break you alone. Only you can do that. So those were our 6 steps. Be your own PR agent and protect your brand at all costs. Always have a little side hustle and share that. Know your clearly defined outcome. Never forget this is a competition and you want to win. Never forget that there are people all around you that you can help and that can help you. And then finally, never let personalities make you quit. Congratulations on your success. I wish you the very best in your career. Thank you and have a good evening.